A lot of guys will ask, why does my woman nag? Why does my girl nag, right? I get home, this isn't done. Why didn't you do this? Why can't you help me with the kids? Why can't you? Why does, and so there's always this nagging process that takes place. And honestly, before you can even understand why the woman nags quite a bit, you have to look at the masculine and feminine energies. Now, if you don't know the difference, I'll go over it quickly in this video. However, I'll make a whole nother video that kind of explains it a little bit more. But the the quick version of it is this: masculine and feminine are two different concepts. They're two different energies. They're not necessarily a gender, so to speak, right? So masculine is more directed, right? More protective, more providing, more aggressive, more assertive, more going to get it, more solution focused, where feminine is a little bit more reserved. It's a little bit more emotional, right? More processing, more caregiving, and when you look at these two, you need both. You can't just have one or the other. You need both of them, which is generally in a relationship. That's why it doesn't matter if it's same sex or male, female, whatever. One person is typically more masculine, the other person is typically more feminine in their energies. Now, the reason that it's typically the man is more masculine has to do with hormones and chemicals and stuff like that. Same with women. So we know that if you give, let's say, testosterone to women, they're less emotional and more aggressive. If you give estrogen to men, they're more emotional and less aggressive, right? So the reason that these fall into the categories of the genders of male, female is because of the testosterone or because of the estrogen. Now, so what do these do? Testosterone, we know, will testosterone will make your bones thicker, make you taller, make you hairier, lower voice, more aggressive, stuff like that. Where estrogen kind of does the opposite, right? And I'm not a biochemist or anything like that, so I'm still doing some research on this, and there's still a little bit more to look at, but we do know, like I said, if you give men estrogen, they many times will grow boobs, they become less manly, right? They become more of that feminine energy. And if you give testosterone, they become more the masculine energy, right? So getting back to the original question, why does she nag me? Well, the femininity is a direct reflection of, let's say, the masculine leadership, not just the masculine, but the leadership of that masculinity. And so something that I didn't know, something I am realizing more and more in my own relationship, in my own marriage, is that if I am going to be the head of the house, so to speak, and we'll go into that in a little bit, because a lot of people are like, well, what does that even mean? You should never be a dictatorship. It should never be, you do what I say because I'm the head of the house. It's more of like, I have to do what's healthiest and what's best for everyone because I'm the head of the house. It's more of a leadership role than anything. And what the feminine will do is it reflects that, saying not leading correctly. There's not as much leadership that we need, or we're not leading in the correct direction, right? We're not leading in a good direction. So with that being said, they're going to start nagging you on the things that you're not doing very well at. You're not leading correctly. You're not leading at the best of your ability. And so therefore, it's going to reflect that. Why aren't you doing this? Why can't you do this? Now, this is, let's say we live in a vacuum. Okay, this is all like under the circumstance that for some reason the feminine and the masculine don't carry baggage, which we all know we all carry baggage. We're all conditioned at a young age to believe certain things, and we carry that into our adulthood. So this is more of just the concept or the theoretical model than it is, the exact reason why. I mean, for instance, if you grew up watching your mom completely devastate and destroy and attack your dad, there's a good chance you're going to do the same thing. That's a different way. That is not necessarily the reflection of the masculinity. That is a reflection of your childhood. So that's a little bit different. So why does the feminine nag? Why does the female nag? It's because it's reflecting your leadership. Now, here's the thing about being a leader of the family. As I said before, I'm learning this more and more, that leadership is extremely important. If you're going to claim to be the head of the house, you better be a good leader. And if you don't know how to lead, you need to learn how to lead, right? Leadership is extremely important. And like I said, it's not coming out of dictatorship. It's out of leadership. It's not that toxic masculinity. It's that masculine leadership. Now, a great book on this is called Masculine in the Relationship by something Youngblood. Very, very well done book, and this is where some of these concepts are coming from. But to go back to what I was saying, if you're going to claim to be the head of the house, or even if you, let's say you get married and from a religious Christian aspect, you are the head of the house, then you need to conform into a leadership role. And if you're not willing to, good luck with all that, because it's going to collapse pretty quick. And you might survive it, you might not, or your relationship might survive it, it might not, depending on how resilient you are and how much you're willing to put up with. So if you're not good at leading, look it up. Learn how to lead. What does it mean to lead? How can you lead in a healthy direction? But another thing you can do, since you're the head of the house, although I do believe that doesn't mean that, like I said, that everyone else in the family is somehow under your reign or your rule or anything like that. It's more of it's more of the leadership. But if you don't know how to lead, you can learn this with your spouse, with your significant other, or also known LTR, right? The long-term relationship. You guys can learn this together. Now, many times the woman will enter into the man's frame, as they say, into the man's world, because, like I said, the masculine or the testosterone will typically have more direction, a little bit more solution focus, more logical thinking. That's not to say that women are illogical, and that's also not to say that even if they were more emotional, that's a bad thing. Emotions mean something. There's a reason we have them. I'll go into that at a later time. But to go back, so as the woman enters the man's frame, if suddenly he's not leading you and the family in a good direction, you're going to start nagging. You're going to start saying, look, something's wrong, right? So as a guy, instead of being like, why does she nag me all the time? Well, what is she nagging about? How about that one? How about start with what she's saying, and is there any validity? Is there any truth to what she's saying? Because if there is, maybe you need to do a better job. Maybe because that's the reflection, you should look in the mirror and say, what do I need to change about myself to be a better person, a better leader, right? Just an overall better man, right? So if you're not leading your family or your relationship in a healthy direction as far as finances, as far as health, as far as spirituality, as far as any of that stuff, making good decisions, looking for good relationships. Are we taking care of each other, right? If you're not leading in that direction, well, you need to do some homework and find out, how do I lead in that direction? And honestly, what this will do is it'll stretch you as a person. And as the feminine sees the masculine as a good leader, there's a lot less nagging that takes place. And you start growing as a person, and honestly, that does turn women on quite a bit when they see he's taking charge, he's doing great, he's leading in a healthy direction. So what that does is, when you're a bad leader, let's say out of your masculinity, whether that's because you're falling into a femininity or however that works, what she'll have to do is revert to her masculinity and then try and lead out of that. And then then you guys could be butting heads, and she's trying to lead, and because someone's got to be leading. You're always going in a direction. Like, there's no way that you can stay stagnant. Life doesn't stay stagnant. And the things that might stay stagnant, let's say water, becomes toxic after a while. You have to be moving. And so if you're going to move, you might as well choose which way to move, which way to lead. So if you're leading or not leading, then she has to fall into her role as the masculine, right? And then she'll start leading, and not only will she resent you, but she also doesn't really want to be in that role. And sometimes they do. Sometimes women want to be in that role, or sometimes the feminine wants to be in that role. Well, no, the feminine can't technically be in that role, because it's a masculine energy that causes the leadership. And so the woman has to fall into her masculine, or you go into your masculine and lead. And so the more you fall into your masculine leadership, the more that they can relax back into their feminine. And then that's when this thing called polarity takes place. Now you're pulling apart, but in the way that, let's say you pull magnets apart, it makes that pull to each other so much stronger. And then now there's like irresistibility towards each other, and it really turns each other on physically and spiritually and emotionally. And it's a great concept, and it's an amazing thing to watch take place. So if you're looking for any more information, I do offer one-on-one coaching or counseling. Me and my staff, we offer this. I'll leave it in the description below. Feel free to email asking for that one-on-one, or if you're looking for more information just via email, or if you want to hear more about this in another video, feel free to email that as well. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think about what I'm saying. Am I right? Am I wrong? I mean, even if I am technically wrong, I didn't make this stuff up. It's not like this is my opinion. And B, I've seen this work. I've done couples therapy, and I've seen this work. So let me know what you think. Please hit the like button, just get the algorithm going, and appreciate it.